Okay, so here's the thing. Something very interesting came in the post today, and I thought I could share it on YouTube because it is kind of interesting. It's not that interesting, but I think at least my viewers would actually enjoy it. Let's see what I got. It's one of these, and it's in the bloody box. It's one of those 5.5-inch black and white radio televisions. Obviously analog, of course. Now, these things came in a handful of styles and case variants, but they're pretty much all the same thing. And as far as I understand, these were developed at least from the very early 90s, and they survived right up until around 2006. They were probably being sold, well into the late 2000s, but in the UK at least, analog television got switched off in, I think, late 2011, 2012? Oh, I don't know. These things were everywhere, and then they just weren't for some reason. There were job lots of these, and they were selling for stupid amounts of money. I seem to remember, in the UK at least, these were being sold for £30 a pop, and I don't really know why. I mean, for these basic ones, there were versions with camping lights on them and things, and the incentive was to stick it in a caravan, or it could be an emergency TV, and I suppose, the sentiment was there. But let's face it, at least in the UK, up until 2010 or 11, we only had 3 or 4 channels on UHF broadcast, and that was the BBC, BBC Two, ITV, and I think Channel 5 stuck around on analog. But Channel 5 was one of the ones to go first, I think. And then we were left with only ITV and the 2 BBC channels. Yeah, well, it just didn't seem that useful, to be honest. If you didn't have digital telly in 2010, then there was something wrong with you. You must have been, stuck in a time warp or something, because there was quite literally nothing to watch. We've got this, and actually, it's in box. It looks pretty brand new, doesn't it? I don't think this has actually seen much use. Now, I have to be careful because I do want to preserve the box as shit as it is. I would like to preserve its originality somewhat. It has a little brochure, or manual really. Just tells us what it is, I suppose. How to use the set, what all of the controls are, and how to be safe with it. You can take a look through if you'd like. Obviously, we didn't get this just to look at the manual, though this is the back. Now, it says it supports PAL 1. It's not colour, of course, but what this is really referring to is 65 lines UHF. There were versions that did have VHF on them, and I'm sure I had one, at least back in the day. I can't really remember why. I think it's because to be honest with you, it's a black and white telly, and it wouldn't be if you went to the US, for example, you wouldn't really have to readjust your line hold control or your horizontal hold control, but you would have to adjust the vertical hold because of the lesser lines in the picture. There's an address by who I assume was imported by. I've never heard of them before. I wonder if they're still in business. And obviously that's the front of the manual. Not very interesting. And this is a Maxim branded one, and there was obviously, this came under many brand names. Let's take a look at it. Obviously we've got proper mains transformer. Look at that. Bloody brick. PSU. Heavy 12-volt transformer in there. I think it does about 1 amp. Let's take a look at it. Sensor positive. 1000 milliamps. Okay. I don't know. An amp seems a bit like, I don't know if is that the total current, the maximum current that it could possibly draw. Seems a bit like, You know, I'd want at least 1.5 amps, I would think, at most anyway. I'm sure this could actually take probably, you know, 500 milliamps more than what it seems to think it wants. I'd show you the sides of it. Freeway power operation. You can plug it into 12-volt external power. You can run it on the built-in batteries, and then run it and charge it at the same time. Is that what the incentive is here? You could stick NiCad batteries in there, so I assume that's what it means, but that doesn't really make any sense. High sensitivity for sharper picture. Okay, fair enough. Quick start monochrome picture tube. Full channel capacity on the UHF band. It is a bit of a piss take, because these definitely did have, some variants had VHF on them. AM/FM band radio, freeway power source available from car, cord, adapter, battery, and battery not included apparently, and AC power, telescopic antenna. Ideal for any room, kitchen, caravan or office. That's the front again. Oh. And this is what's on the top, of course. I can't remember if I showed you that. Someone playing football or something. Oh, sorry. It's actually basketball, or I don't know what that is. Some American jockey game. I wonder if they're gay. TV radio. No, it's not actually 5.5 inches. I don't know, I'll have to measure that. Okay, so if we just move these things apart, if we place this on the side, it probably makes more sense to do it this way. There we are. The aerial's moved out of place already. That's a great start, isn't it? Come on. Quite snug in there. Let's take a look at it. Could you imagine getting very excited over something like this? I mean, I'm not that excited. I'm a bit excited. It's not in too bad of a nick, actually. But then, you know, I don't think these things got much use. The aerial's all right. Someone's not bent the shit out of it, so, you know, can't complain, I guess. There's your tuning, and look, someone's marked where BBC One and ITV, BBC Two are. Channel 21 to, I think that's 31. Or just under, I think it was channel 18 to 31, I think, or 32. I can't quite remember anymore. Got our switch for UHF. Okay, so I've got a UHF pattern generator, something that does, it's made by a brand called Color Match, but actually the pattern gen isn't a color generator, it is black and white, and it's quite basic and simple. So let's get that plugged in, let's get the set plugged in, and see what we can do. Now, I don't have one of those headphone to bailing or you know, the UK aerial sockets adapters, so we're going to just clip onto the aerial. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so I've pre-tuned, and I think we're ready to try this out. God, this is so tiny. Now, I have noticed the mains transformer does interfere with the picture, just a bit. So if you get any funny looking lines, that's probably what that is. You see these striations. Now, ignore the those vertical bars which are coming up every so often. I'm sure there was a version that didn't have the brightness on the back. But never mind. Very critical tuning on this, I'm starting to notice. Looks alright, that's our grayscale. Of course, if I move this away, See the lines, they disappear. I think it's just interference, and it's actually probably coming from the... And this is the picture with the Philips pattern, test card pattern. How amazing that looks. Nice and focused, of course. It's a shame the camera won't bloody focus. Now, in fairness, we are using the RF, so it's not going to be very, you know, I don't know what we call it. The bandwidth isn't going to be that great, but it's all right. Doesn't look too bad at all. Let's see what the radio sounds like. Just you know, standard FM radio, AM. It's just going to pick up noise from everything, isn't it? It's funny because there is, obviously you can switch this into AM mode, so it's made me wonder whether or not there's a spare way on this switch, on the TV side I mean, at least, because it would make it a hell of a lot more easier to add a composite video if we really wanted to. Let's go back to our video again, but that is perfect. That looks really, really, really good. And you can just see the edges of the test card, the overscan sections there. So what are my plans with this? Well, I've got a green CRT, which I'd kind of like to put in here, but I don't really see the point in doing that. I've also want to do a composite video mod, because there's a lot of people who seem to want to do that type of mod on these monitors, on these TVs, as well as an audio input, and everyone seems to do it their own way. I've not actually seen a proper instructable put out there in video form, so I'd like to do that. You know, the picture on this is absolutely amazing. Anyway, so I guess that's all for now. Thanks for watching.